Yo, being a gamer who has a survival genre addicted friend group, of course, once RuneScape Dragonwilds dropped, we had to jump in and check it out. I've always been fascinated by RuneScape and its world ever since I caught the World of Warcraft bug back in 2004. But unfortunately, I'd never dove further than just massacring cows, crossing a bridge to some desert zone, and attempting some quests in a spooky manner. Games like WoW, EVE Online, and Face of Mankind always ended up capturing my attention over RuneScape. Fast forward to now, and we have this RuneScape Dragonwilds. And I gotta say, shows a lot of promise. Right off the bat, I gotta mention how beautiful the art style is. The world is very vibrant and stylized, from the trees to the lighting, all the way down to the grass. It's very consistent and easy on the eyes. My favorite touch is how textured the character's clothing looks. I mean, look at this cape. The way it flows naturally and the distinction between the glossy leather and the rough leather of the boots looks great. With this attention to quality, I can't wait to see how they continue to enhance and grow the art style moving forward. Music, on the other hand, is extremely short snippets that give a more tribal vibe than the fantasy setting that's portrayed. It's not intrusive like some soundtracks tend to be in the survival genre, but compared to the world, it falls a little flat. Here's a little sample of the music. As a survival game, how does this stack up to the others? Well, in terms of satiation, it's a bit extreme. Be prepared to make tons of food and drinks to battle the never-ending threat of hunger and thirst. With the added need to sleep, there's a lot to manage, with debuffs like max stamina from exhaustion or straight up dying being the consequence of poor planning. Luckily, eating certain foods you make gives buffs, and grinding resources is super easy, especially in a starting zone, with animals, berries, and other ingredients being plentiful throughout. That goes for building and crafting materials as well. Dragonwilds gives you multiple different tools to gather throughout the world, including runes. Runes are a magical resource unique to the RuneScape franchise. By using them, you gain access to a handful of magical spells you can utilize to aid you in the collection of materials throughout the world. Like a magical axe that can chop down multiple trees in one hit, or a ground AoE explosion that will help you break down rocks. Even a camp that you can summon just in case you need to take a little nap before exploring a dungeon. All of which unlock through the classic RuneScape 1 through 99 leveling system. Other than bag space, which I'll talk about later, the survival aspects in this game are what you would come to expect, while rune magic adds a little flair, making it familiar, but also slightly fresh. I've already stated that the look and feel of the world artistically is great, but what's in it? The starting zone feels whimsical and does a good job at portraying a fantasy setting. With floating rune nodes to the magical animals, goblin camps, and elemental creatures, there's a lot to see. Some of the set pieces in the world are interactable, allowing you to find secret items that unlock quests, some of which are governed by time of day, like this necklace that I found in a well that gave me the ability to speak to a ghost that only came around during the night. Promotes a good level of self-discovery. Dungeons are dark and gloomy, infested with rats, filled with traps, and little nooks, allowing you to find hidden secrets. The second zone that I've barely stepped into was completely different from the starting zone, featuring a foggy swamp that leads to a sense of unsettling wonder. The world is a definite plus in Dragonwilds, and it keeps me engaged in exploration by being immersive and rewarding. Combat is definitely slower in Dragonwilds than in games like Enshrouded and Conan Exiles, but definitely not as slow as something like Valheim. In terms of melee combat, the game rewards more methodical gameplay rather than spamming mouse 1, including a Souls-like parry mechanic. That's what I hope Dragonwilds is kind of going for. Range combat and magic are not fully implemented yet, and as a consequence, the version of both of those that are in the game right now are completely busted. I don't know how they plan on balancing it out or iterating further on this, but I definitely hope they get some more nuance into their playstyle. Each class of weapon has its own combo system. Knife has a long combo string, while mace has a shorter one that staggers. Both include a heavy attack that staggers, creating openings. There are some buffs that you can utilize using runes as a melee character, like weapon enchants, and a cool shield buff that makes blocking negate all damage and activates a cool air burst that knocks enemies back when it expires. Bow can do bow things, ADS with normal shooter mechanics, or it can utilize a 3 combo string that gives a little bit of movement backwards for kiting. Staff right now only uses fire and wind runes. Fire having more AoE with a flamethrower-like flame breath heavy attack, while air gets a higher single target damage stringing of attacks and a knockdown for a heavy. Enemy AI is bare bones at the moment, or at least from what I've ran into. Their movesets are extremely telegraphed, but will definitely punish you if you're not careful or get swarmed. That being said, dungeons are pretty fun. Haven't ran into any special bosses yet, just a little unique named mobs in the dungeons, which didn't really offer any boss mechanics. Overall though, I'd say base combat is varied and feels good to play. And speaking of weapons, for gear there's specific stats for each type of armor, featuring things like stealth, weak point damage, cast time, spell crit, and damage to staggered targets. It's a good baseline that rewards specializing in a certain type of playstyle. Every good survival game needs a robust building mechanic. Even if I feel like Fallout 76 continuously disappoints me, the one reason I keep coming back to that game is the building. Even if it could be extremely frustrating at times, the creations you can make in that game is hands down one of the best experiences I've had in any game that features building. So how does Dragonwilds compare? In this early access state, I can say it's extremely promising and fulfilling for what it is. The snapping system they have going on actually works, and the pieces the game offers you is varied enough so you can create some really good looking structures. I haven't played with the decorations that much, I'll have to admit. But from what I've seen so far, I can definitely see myself having fun building some cool stuff later on. So I'd figure I'd wait till the conclusion to voice more of the serious gripes I have with this game. I'd say it's pretty confusing whether or not this game is going to evolve into a more hardcore experience or a casual one. Either or, I have no preference. I will say though that regardless what it becomes, there are things that detract from the overall game in my opinion, like inventory management. I've always preferred a game that utilizes either a grid type inventory system or a weighted type one. Never both. Maybe there would be more spells to alleviate this annoyance, like Beast of Burden. But at the moment, if you run a dungeon and you pick up 2 cores, which is a main resource in the game, you're going to be overweight really fast. And the amount of different resources like food, drink, potions, or just basic resources that you carry around exacerbates this problem. I don't really play solo, but if I did, this would probably be even more frustrating. Hunger, thirst, exhaustion is also really encumbering. But Jagex has already pulled back the thirst strain so far, and this is early access, so I'm hoping it will be in a better spot in the future. Not to mention crafting produces items one by one from the workbench, meaning if you're playing with a group and you make a group of items at the bench, there will be constant situations in which your group will accidentally pick up the finished items, gaining all the experience from crafting. Also, bags that drop from enemies are a huge time sink, as you have to sit there opening them one by one, making sure not to move so that your character vacuums up all the items from the bags. Other than that, the only other thing lacking from the game at the moment is actual RuneScape elements. None of the lore books I've read so far have been really insightful as to what's really going on in the world or ties into anything RuneScape other than just name dropping. And while the spells in the game right now are fun, it leaves me wondering where the prayers are at, or curses, or different combat styles, or any of the other unique RuneScape mechanics that are well known but are not present in any shape or form. And the roadmap doesn't mention them either, leaving much to be desired. Overall, RuneScape Dragonwilds is a good time so far. And I'm hopeful that whatever Jagex decides to do, it'll be an even better time once it's finished. Just understand, if you're looking for something that actually fully integrates the RuneScape feel into your survival game, you might be a little disappointed. At least for right now. Hey, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've been enjoying RuneScape Dragonwilds so far, what you'd change, or if I've convinced you to give it a shot. Either way, appreciate you being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.